The wine glass trembled in Min Jae's hand as Ji Woo's words echoed through the dimly lit restaurant kitchen, her face flushed with alcohol and raw emotion as she leaned dangerously close to him, whispering secrets that would change everything between them. Steam from the abandoned soup pot curled around them like fog, creating an intimate cocoon where confessions hung heavy in the air, and the famous chef who had lost his sense of taste years ago finally understood that some flavors could only be felt with the heart. The morning sun filtered through the glass walls of Myeong Corporation's test kitchen, where Min Jae stood motionless before a row of perfectly plated dishes, each one a failed attempt to recreate his late master's legendary 4 seasons of life recipe. His assistant Dong-ho watched nervously from the corner as Min Jae methodically tasted each creation, his expression remaining frustratingly blank due to his condition. The chef's fingers traced the rim of each plate with scientific precision, searching for clues his damaged senses couldn't provide, while memories of his master's teachings whispered through his mind like ghosts of flavors he could no longer experience. In the adjacent building, Ji Woo emerged from her morning workout session, her manager and protective older brother Sung Woo waiting with her usual breakfast of exactly 300 calories, his stern expression reflecting years of watching her struggle with the impossible standards of the modeling world. She accepted the meal with practiced grace, though her eyes lingered hungrily on the food delivery trucks passing by the window, each one carrying forbidden pleasures she hadn't tasted in over a decade. The corporate war room buzzed with tension as manager Park Yoo-jin frantically dialed numbers, trying to secure a meeting with the famous fashion mogul Jason Kim, whose angel competition would determine which food corporation could sponsor the most prestigious modeling contest in Asia. Hyun Wook paced behind his mahogany desk, his usually composed demeanor cracking under the pressure of keeping both his sister's career and his company's reputation intact. While across the city, Min Jae received the devastating news that his rival CEO Kang Tae-sung was already positioning himself to steal the sponsorship opportunity. The chef's jaw tightened imperceptibly as he absorbed this information, his mind immediately calculating the consequences of losing such a crucial business partnership, though his expression remained as unreadable as always. Ji Woo stood before her bathroom mirror, applying makeup with mechanical precision, while her reflection revealed the exhaustion she carefully hid from the world, her fingers unconsciously touching her hollow cheeks as she remembered the strange incident from weeks ago when she had eaten Min Jae's food without gaining a single gram of weight. The memory both thrilled and terrified her, representing a freedom she had never dared to dream possible, yet also threatening the carefully constructed foundation of her entire identity as the industry's most disciplined model. The exclusive tasting event at Min Jae's restaurant drew curious food critics and potential investors, their conversations creating a symphony of anticipation that filled the elegant dining room with nervous energy. Ji Woo arrived in disguise, her heart racing with the rebellion of breaking Sung Woo's strict instructions, while Min Jae orchestrated the evening with the precision of a conductor, relying entirely on his staff's reactions and the guests' expressions to gauge the success of each dish. Manager Park distributed promotional materials with practiced efficiency, her smile never wavering despite the crushing pressure of knowing that one wrong move could destroy months of careful planning. The molecular gastronomy presentation began with dishes that looked more like art installations than food, each one designed to challenge perceptions and create Instagram-worthy moments that would generate social media buzz for weeks to come. Tae-sung arrived fashionably late with his own entourage, his confident swagger masking the desperate schemes he had set in motion to sabotage Min Jae's reputation, while his hired spy among the kitchen staff waited for the perfect moment to execute their plan. Hidden cameras captured every reaction as the guests sampled the innovative cuisine, their faces revealing genuine surprise and delight that made Min Jae's chest tighten with an emotion he rarely allowed himself to feel. Ji Woo found herself at a corner table, her hands trembling slightly as she lifted the first spoonful to her lips, the flavors exploding across her palate in a symphony of sensations she had forbidden herself for years. Her eyes widened in amazement as she realized that once again, Min Jae's mysterious cooking allowed her to eat without the usual consequences, her body somehow processing his food in ways that defied all logic and nutritional science. The other guests noticed her enthusiasm, their whispered conversations gradually identifying her as the famous model Eva, creating a buzz of excitement that manager Park quickly capitalized on by announcing an impromptu partnership between Ji-woo and Myong Corporation. Seung-woo's angry phone call interrupted the celebration, his voice cutting through the festive atmosphere like a blade as he demanded explanations for his sister's unauthorized appearance, while Min Jae watched the drama unfold with growing concern for the woman who had somehow become central to both his business and personal salvation. The confrontation erupted in Jason Kim's private dining room, where the fashion mogul had arranged a supposedly casual dinner to evaluate both competing corporations, his piercing gaze missing nothing as tension crackled between Min Jae and Tae-sung like electricity. The poisoned soup incident unfolded with surgical precision, Tae-sung's planted cook switching the bowls at the crucial moment while pretending to stumble, though Min Jae's quick reflexes and suspicious nature had already prepared him for such treachery. Ji-woo's sharp gasp echoed through the room as she realized the danger, her protective instincts overriding years of media training as she knocked the tainted soup from Min Jae's hands, splattering the expensive ingredients across the pristine tablecloth. Jason Kim's expression shifted from confusion to cold fury as he comprehended the attempted sabotage, his voice cutting through the chaos with quiet menace as he banished the guilty cook and Tae-sung from his establishment forever. The aftermath left Min Jae and Ji-woo alone on the restaurant's moonlit terrace, the city lights twinkling below them like stars, while the weight of unspoken gratitude and growing attraction hung between them, like a bridge neither dared to cross. The ride back to Min Jae's apartment passed in charged silence, Ji-woo's earlier adrenaline giving way to a vulnerability she rarely allowed anyone to witness. While the chef struggled with emotions he had buried beneath years of professional dedication and personal tragedy, his kitchen became an intimate sanctuary where he prepared a simple meal for her, each movement carrying the weight of his gratitude and something deeper that neither of them was ready to name. She watched his hands work with practiced grace, creating beauty from simple ingredients despite his inability to taste what he produced, and her heart ached with the recognition of a kindred spirit who understood the pain of being disconnected from something fundamental to one's identity. The wine appeared as if by magic, loosening tongues and lowering defenses that had protected them both from the dangerous territory of genuine emotion, while outside the window, Seoul's neon landscape painted their faces in alternating shadows and light. Min Jae's confession about his childhood accident spilled out between sips of expensive red wine, his usually controlled voice cracking slightly as he described the day he lost his sense of taste, and with it, the simple pleasure of enjoying the food he created for others. Ji-woo's own story emerged like a reluctant tide, her words painting a picture of a decade spent in self-imposed starvation. Her relationship with food transformed from nourishment to enemy through the impossible demands of an industry that valued appearance over humanity. The alcohol made her bold enough to reach across the small table and touch his hand, her fingers tracing the scars from countless kitchen burns, while she struggled to find words adequate to express her gratitude for showing her that food could be pleasure without punishment. Min Jae's breath caught at her touch, his composed facade finally cracking to reveal the loneliness and longing he had carried for so many years, while Ji-woo's eyes reflected the same desperate hunger for connection that had nothing to do with the physical sustenance they both craved. The moment stretched between them like a taut wire, filled with possibilities and fears in equal measure, as the famous chef and the celebrated model found themselves stripped of their public personas and reduced to two damaged souls, recognizing each other across the wreckage of their respective prisons. Her whispered admission that she found him handsome despite calling him a bastard broke the last barrier between them, the wine and the intimacy of shared secrets creating a bubble of honesty that neither had experienced in years. The sound of Min Jae's phone buzzing on the counter shattered their moment like glass. Manager Park's urgent text about an emergency board meeting in the morning, pulling them both back to the reality of their complicated professional relationship. Ji-woo's sudden sobriety reflected in her wide eyes as she realized how far she had allowed herself to drift from her carefully maintained boundaries, while Min Jae fought the urge to ignore his responsibilities and lose himself in the warmth of her unexpected presence. The awkward dance of gathering belongings and avoiding eye contact filled the apartment with tension as thick as the earlier intimacy, both of them struggling to process what had almost happened between them. She paused at his door, her hand on the handle as she turned back to study his face one last time, memorizing the vulnerability he had shown her before the morning would force them both back into their public masks. His soft goodnight carried weight far beyond polite courtesy, while her whispered response promised that this evening had changed something fundamental between them that could never be undone. The mysterious envelope slipped under Ji-woo's apartment door arrived with the dawn, containing photographs of her intimate dinner with Min Jae and a note demanding that she choose between her career and her growing feelings for the chef. Hyun Woo's voice echoed from the kitchen where he prepared her morning meal, his tone carrying the sharp edge of suspicion that suggested he already knew about her unauthorized evening. While Ji-woo's hands trembled as she hid the threatening message in her purse, the photographer who had captured their private moment remained unknown. But the professional quality of the images and the calculated timing of their delivery suggested an enemy with resources and intimate knowledge of both their schedules. Min Jae stood at his apartment window as the sun painted Seoul's skyline in shades of gold and pink, his reflection showing a man transformed by a single evening of genuine connection, though the weight of impending consequences pressed down on his shoulders like a physical burden. The morning news played softly in the background, announcing the upcoming Angel competition and speculating about which corporation would ultimately claim the coveted sponsorship. Unaware that the real battle would be fought not in boardrooms, but in the dangerous territory of the human heart,